Welcome to On Deck, conversations that matter. Most people think leadership is about being in charge, but that's not what it looks like day to day. I'm here with Sara Ramsay, and today we're going to talk about what responsibility really looks like when you're the one making the decisions. Sara, thanks for being here.
No problem.
When was a moment where everything depended on you, where you had to step up and be on deck?
I don't know if I can think of a single moment. I think in my job, it's a lot of combined moments, if that makes sense. So if there's an issue at the pool or if there is an issue at one of our sports events, I have to go and I have to diffuse the situation, and I have to make sure that what we're doing reflects what the towns want for our recreation department, and also to make sure that the public is safe and that we provide the best service that we can. So to wrap that up, I would think that I don't really have a one time where I feel like I had to really step in. I feel like I have to do it a lot, so I don't feel like there's a breakout. And sometimes it's bigger issues and sometimes it's smaller issues, but that doesn't ever take away from the fact that when you are in charge of something or it's part of your department, you have to be able to be flexible and all that. Does that answer your question?
What does responsibility actually look like day to day, in your opinion?
So for me, it's obviously going to work, but it's a lot more than that. With the responsibilities, making sure that other people are doing what they need to do to make sure everything is running properly. So I have responsibilities myself, but my responsibilities also reflects to make sure the other people that I have put in place to make sure that the pool runs or the recreation department is running, that they are doing what they need to do so that we're all working towards the same goal.
That's really interesting. When does responsibility actually become real for someone?
I think it depends on what they're doing. So you being a lifeguard, I think when you're trained and you know what's expected for your position at the pool, you take on that responsibility of that role. So you're responsible for being a lifeguard. So what does that mean? That means that you're responsible for getting there on time. You're responsible if you need time off to put that your request. You're responsible for, while you're on duty, making sure you're vigilant in the chair, making sure that you are helping with the chores. That all is a combination of responsibility in any position you have. Is when you're a parent, as soon as you become a parent, you're responsible for that child. And there are people that don't want responsibility, don't take on responsibility, but most of those people don't go very far in life. And so it's something that has to come from you. I can't make you responsible. You can't make me responsible. But if I am not responsible for everything that I'm responsible for, if I just stop caring and I don't take it serious, then I don't have the position I have anymore.
What would you say the hardest thing about being a leader?
It's funny, I just went to some classes in the Valley, and they talked a lot about being a leader and holding people accountable and holding yourself accountable to give what the people underneath you, what they need to do their job properly. So I think it's very much of accountability, really. It's being a leader. It's not about being a boss and going in and telling people what to do. It's about, I lead by the fact that I don't ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do myself, or I'm not willing to go help them do that. So, and either in the pool setting or in the recreation setting, everything that I've asked people to do is something that I've done. And so I just feel it's really important to work alongside people. And that's just coming from me. Other people might lead different. I just find that having good communication with your team, also letting them know that you care about them and that you're there for them, I think that's very important, but also to hold them accountable for what they need to do in their job.
That's really interesting about that. Never really thought about that before. So what would you say is harder, leading other people or leading yourself?
For me personally, it's probably myself because I'm super critical and I always feel like every event we have or everything I do, after every training, I sit back and reflect, what could we have done better? This didn't go as well as I wanted it to. What could we do better? I'm always trying to make programs better, make in services better. I'm always thinking of what do I need to do to make myself better so that I can train my staff better. And so I don't love confrontation, but I have learned that there's a way to have confrontation in a productive manner instead of just telling somebody, you did a bad job. I might tell you, hey, you could have done that better, and this is how you're going to do it. So I guess, yes, and the whole question is, I feel like I'm harder on myself than I am on my staff because I feel like my staff is a reflection of what I've been training them to do. Does that answer that? Or
It does. Okay. What's something most people understand about being in charge?
that they understand?
What's something that people usually misinterpret about being in charge?
That when you're in charge, you stop doing the little things. So I'm trying to think of how to put that so it's understandable. I give people responsibilities, but I check in on them. It's when I feel like people sometimes think I'm in charge, I make the rules, I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't think that that's a good way of being in charge. If you are in charge, you lead people, but also if I tell you, hey, I want to do this, and this is why I want to do it. I really try to follow up with, if I change something or if I bring something to the table, this is why we're going to do it. So I think sometimes people just get into a leadership role and they just feel like they're above their staff or the people that work underneath them. And it's really important to understand that everybody's human and nobody's better than anyone else. Just because I hold the position I do doesn't make me better than you. You can always be what I am when you get older. Anybody can do really anything if they put their mind to it. But I think a lot of people, they just kind of get a big head and then they stop caring about the people underneath them. And instead of you working together, you're just a stepping stone. And I've worked under people like that. And I felt that when people stop feeling appreciated and when people stop feeling like you care about them, they're not going to continue being a good employee. You're either going to lose them or their quality of work is going to go downhill very fast. And so I think it's important that people in leadership roles make sure that they still take their staff into consideration. I'll give you an example. So in my class, this gentleman came in and he was talking and he said that he was in and out and it was kind of in the middle of the day. They weren't very busy and there were about 7 or 8 staff behind and they were all doing stuff and everything. And a guy was in there and he was walking around the store. He was dressed real nice. And before he went to leave, he called every one of those staff members by name. And then he said something about them. So he said, hey, good luck on that test. And the other one said, oh, I hope you have a good time at your dance. And he left. And when the guy was sitting there eating, he was just finishing up, and one of the employees came out and they were sweeping. And so he asked him, who was that guy that came in? He seemed to know all of you. And he's like, oh, that's our regional manager. And wow, he goes, he does that every time. He knows all of us by name. And he was over 7 In-N-Out stores. And he made sure when he stopped at the store, he knew who was working and he acknowledged them and made them feel seen. And they said they love working there. But that's the difference between you have a boss that comes in and doesn't acknowledge you and you have a boss that comes in and says, how are you today? Or just says hello to you. So it's important for people to acknowledge the people that are under them and to make them feel like you want them to be there.
Have you ever had to make a decision that you knew that a lot of people would not like and maybe resent you for?
Yes, I have. especially at the pool. I just recently I had to make, there was a decision that came up, and it was a really hard thing for me to do. And I know a lot of people didn't understand. There were a lot of rumors going around that were not correct. And those are the times where it is really hard for me to be in that position, because I do care about my staff a lot and I appreciate them and don't ever want anyone to leave a position and be resentful of me and be angry and hurt. And for me, that makes me feel like I need to do better. And I take that really serious. And I have very few people that have not worked with me anymore that don't talk to me. I've tried really hard to make those connections and be able to keep those connections. But yes, that is the worst thing about my job, is when I do have to make decisions. And I have to make decisions for the good of my department. And sometimes it just, people don't understand. And it kind of stinks. But I think any person in leadership, there's always going to be a little bit of misunderstanding when somebody is disgruntled and wants to leave. And I feel like once they get that in their head, it's really hard to come back from that.
What's a mistake you see people make over and over again?
I think mistakes are made when you stop wanting to move forward, you're stagnant, and you either stop wanting to do the job that you're in if you just are resentful and you feel like you're stuck there and you don't communicate that maybe you're not getting along with a manager or a coworker is really bothering you, but you don't want to say anything because you are worried it's going to come back and it's either going to be 10 times worse or they're going to mistreat you if they get talked to. So I think, like I said, having good communication with your managers and even me, it's when you're getting a rut, it's easy to keep doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you are in a spot where, if you're a kid and you keep getting grounded because you keep coming home late, well, you need to change that. You have to change that behavior. With work, if you keep getting pulled in and your boss is like, hey, I didn't get that report, and because you're not putting it in on time and they're not getting it on time, and you keep getting, hey, I need that report, you have to change the behavior yourself to get a different outcome. And I don't know if that answers what you're wanting.
Yeah, that's perfect. What's something people think makes a good leader, but it actually destroys them in leadership?
Touching back to what I said before, is not treating the people underneath you like they're people. You're in a department head position, you're only as good as the people that you work with. Because I could be as great as I wanted. I could have everything done and do everything, and I could do it all myself, but it's going to cause burnout for me. And I'm not trusting the people that I'm putting into place to help me build a better program or a better department. So I think trust, making sure you trust the people that you've put into place and holding them accountable and making sure that you are available to them.
If someone listening right now feels stuck, what should they do starting tomorrow?
If you're stuck in, when you say stuck, personally stuck, mentally stuck,
in their life, they don't find themselves succeeding and they're just locked in as an employee, let's say, and they have dreams to become an employer, what would you say they should start doing?
If you want to be a higher level person, it depends on what kind of field you're in, but going to school or maybe going and doing something that's outside the box, outside the norm, not something that they're doing right now. Because maybe the path that they're on, if they're that stuck, might not be the right path. And so I'll give you a little bit of an example. When I got hired on for recreation, and the pool was just a shell and a hole in the ground. And I got brought into the project. I have never worked in pools before, never. And I was like, this is so outside my comfort zone. And I just was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I am going to fully submerge myself into this, and I'm going to give it 100%. And that's exactly what I did. I started making connections with other people that had pools. I started going to any training that I could possibly find. I got certified in aquatics operation, and I've gone continuing training all the time so that I could do the best I could so that I could run a successful pool. And that was not my plan at all. But I think I could have just said, hey, I'm not going to do that. You guys need to find someone else and just stick with recreation. And I didn't. I was like, you know what? I can do this. It's completely new. And our pool is fantastic. We get compliments all the time about how great it is. That is not all me. That is definitely a team effort. But when you say stuck, if you're spinning your wheels and you're not going anywhere, it's either you need to find the root of why that is. Is it something inside of you? Is it behaviors that you have that's causing that and that other people see and that's what's causing that issue? Or is it because you are not on the path that you're supposed to be? I really feel like when people are not on the right path, the Lord is going to put that stuff in. They're going to put these hurdles in your way. And the hurdles are going to get bigger and bigger. You're not listening because you are not on the right path. So you need to, I feel you have to really soul search and be like, is this what I'm supposed to do? And there will be signs, and you just need to look at them. And yes, you are going to have hurdles in life, but if you get to the point where you are stagnant and you are not moving and you are miserable, you are not where you're supposed to be.
In your opinion, what's the most important thing for people to become successful? Is it A, networking, like the people, or getting out of your comfort zone?
Well, you can know everybody you want, but that's not going to make you a good leader. It's not going to make you like anything. It's you. It's getting out of your comfort zone, doing things that you were like, I cannot do that. But you know what? You can do it. And if you push yourself, you can do it. But like I said, right path. And if I had started working on the pool and I really started feeling like a lot of resistance and I was so overwhelmed and I wasn't able to move forward, then I would know, you know what, this isn't for me. But I pushed through, and I'm so glad I did, because I have learned a lot. I have met amazing people through the pool, and I've really pushed myself to do something that I thought I would never ever do. So I don't know if that helps, if that's an answer for you, but
yes, that's perfect. That was Sara Ramsay's insight on what real leadership really looks like. This On Deck, conversations that matter. Thank you.